Hi and welcome back. I'm Sam from Tarot for Writing, and today we're going to look at the 10 of Pentacles. This is part of a challenge I'm doing that Esther from Mindful Tarot created. And the idea is to spend a little bit of time every day going through the decks in the tarot one at a time, starting with the Pentacles, and today we're landing on the 10 of Pentacles. This is the Smith-Waite Centennial edition, and I just love how the pentacles are depicted here in the pattern of the Tree of Life from the Kabbalah. There's a lot to dig in here, so let's dive right in, starting with a brief definition of the card. So the 10 of Pentacles is all about success, about wealth, and not just regular wealth, but generational wealth. It's about dynasty, about financial stability, about security, and really what it boils down to is long-lasting wealth and prosperity. Second part of this exercise is we're going to key in on a detail, or kind of dive into a detail in this deep dive of the 10 of Pentacles. And what caught my attention today, and it's a little hard to see, let me see if I can zoom you in a little closer. At the gate there is, on that wall at the gate, there is a wand or a staff leaning against it. And that is the detail that caught my attention today. And it kind of got me wondering, where did it come from? Of course, the first card that comes to mind when I think about a wand is the magician, and he's holding up that wand in most of the depictions. I should have brought the magician card with me to show you. But it kind of speaks of this wand energy of bringing all this wealth and financial stability into being, about the need to have the right mindset, or even create the right mindset, and kind of shift your energy to where you are capable of manifesting and attracting this kind of success and this kind of wealth. The other thing I thought was kind of interesting is this wand is very close to the old man that sits in front of the gate, and he is wrapped in a cloak or a blanket covered in magical symbols. So that kind of makes me wonder if maybe he is the magician who did the hard work, who changed his mindset, and as above, so below, generated this wealth and all the abundance that we see in this card and everything that his family is enjoying. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And as you may or may not know, I am a fiction author. I write paranormal romance. And as part of the discovery phase of kind of how can we dive a little bit deeper into these cards, I share my thoughts with you on how I use this card to inspire my fiction writing. So let's dive into that a little deeper. So the first and obvious thing is my character could be coming from a big family. You know, we see a lot of people depicted in this card. We see generations of people and pets in this card. So my character could certainly come from a big family like this. And with that, of course, he or she could have some meddling relatives. And that can add a lot of interest to a story and add some layers, and of course create some tension. So for example, maybe this mother figure in the picture is ready to marry off her son and is kind of pushing him towards getting married and giving her grandchildren. Or maybe the father figure in this card isn't so happy about seeing his daughter date somebody. Maybe nobody is really good enough for daddy's little girl. All these kind of tropes and these kind of familiar stories are fun things that we could pull from this card and play with in our fiction. The other thing I noticed is the point of view or the perspective of this card is really us from the outside looking in. So that kind of got me thinking about, what if we have a character who feels like an outsider, who feels like maybe a little bit of a black sheep of the family. Maybe he has been outcast. That could create a lot of tension, especially if now all of a sudden there is the need to reconnect with the family. You know, maybe playing on the idea of the older grandfatherly figure sitting in the front of the picture. Maybe his grandfather or her grandfather or any of the relatives aren't doing so well, and this character has to come home, and this is where he meets his or her love interest. That kind of could add a whole nother layer of tension there, especially if there are all sorts of other family dynamics going on, and if he or she doesn't plan on staying wherever this beautiful castle or this beautiful home is. So that could add a lot of interest and tension, especially if they don't get along with the family. Or maybe, you know, going back to this whole idea of dynasty and generational wealth, maybe this is a situation where there is a larger inheritance in play, and maybe there's some pressure from the family to produce an heir. Maybe there's even a contract, you know, you can't inherit the family business until you marry and settle down, or until you produce an heir. That is a kind of a familiar, often used trope, especially in millionaire, billionaire type romances. That could be fun to play with. Or what if what we're looking at is the past and is everything our character has lost? So maybe they have inherited this company or this big estate, but all the people that we see in the card are gone. You know, what could that mean for a relationship, and how that could play into the kind of emotional wounds this person carries as they are trying to find the love of their life and their happily ever after. And then on a more granular or smaller level, when I'm getting ready to write a chapter, to create a particular scene, maybe this would inspire me to write a scene where our character meets the family. You know, he brings her home or she brings him home. And what does that look like? What kind of characters do they meet there? And how do they interact with the parents, with the grandparents, with siblings? Again, we could bring in the pets, and maybe I pull this card and it just inspires me to use the two dogs and have my two love interests meet at the dog park. Maybe they're each dog owners. So there's a lot I can pull just from this little card. Another thing I thought about is, this looks a little bit like a stage setting, doesn't it? With this big archway and the estate in the background. So maybe my characters are off to go to a play, or maybe they're visiting a museum, that kind of thing. And then we could also pull some information from the characters depicted in the card. The two that really stand out to me are the grandfather and the small child. So I could either create a grandfatherly figure who offers some wisdom or their advice that isn't asked for, that kind of situation, or I could have a precocious little child who isn't afraid to speak the truth or ask the hard questions that an adult wouldn't get away with asking. So there's a lot to play with there, and a lot of fun to be had with all these various inspirations you can pull from a tarot card, in this particular case, the 10 of Pentacles. I hope you've enjoyed this discussion and this deep dive into this particular card of the tarot. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up. If something sparked an idea for you, I would love to hear about it in the comment. As always, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. I'd love to have you follow along through this entire journey through the tarot, and I will be back with the next video where we'll take a look at the Page of Pentacles.